At GroupEAD, we know that old ways won't open new doors, and our mission from the start has been to be a leader. As the only AIM service provider offering centralized services, we are unique.
Born in 2001,
GroupEAD operates the world's largest aeronautical database, which currently has 200 EAD data users, 49 EAD data providers, and over 25,000 EAD basic users. And when it comes to investing in your most valuable asset, choosing the GroupEAD AIM Training Academy gives you the confidence in selecting the only fully dedicated and specialized worldwide AIM training provider, with over 40 different trainings available, provided in 7 different languages. Our highly qualified AIS experts have trained over 8,700 people from more than 100 international organizations, while consistently achieving satisfaction rates beyond 98%. GroupEAD offers a wide range of practical application-based consultancy services, from AIS to AIM migrations to quality system implementation and procedure design services. We offer our knowledge and expertise to assist you in the development and implementation of specialized systems, optimizing operational procedures, and ensuring compliance with international regulations. Our team of consultants continuously tracks the latest developments in their fields of expertise at the regional and international levels, ensuring a perfect fit for your specific company at the business level, regional level, and international integration with neighbors. We are fully committed to AIM, offering a wide spectrum of data services, including migration and management, conversion from AIXM 4.5 to 5.1, NOTAM service, contingency service, and service desk support. We are the leader in AIM services, with more than 17 years of experience in the market and having worked with hundreds of clients all over the world. GroupEAD, where information takes flight.
Hello, AIM Builder community around the world, and welcome to this fourth edition of the AIM Builder webinar that we have titled today, Aeronautical Data Management for Aerodrome Operators. I think we're just starting right on time, a little bit early, yeah, a little bit only for some seconds. I'm really happy to be here with you again. So thank you for your participation. We're bringing you today in this AIM Builder webinar, as usual, the latest and more relevant news of the AIM world. We're also bringing you an AIM lecture that we have titled Airport Data, because this is exactly what we're going to talk about today. Also, we have the opportunity to show you a short video of the sponsor of today's webinar, which is ADV and Frequentis, also in relation to the Aerodrome Data Management. But the best section this time will be an interesting talk that we're going to have today with Mr. Manuel Guntschnig from Frequentis, and we're going to talk about these airport data, the tendencies that we see lately of organizing some units internally at airport side, and also the latest requirements that we find in some regulations in regards to airport data. And last but not least, we're going to give you an important tip, so it can be of your support in your day-to-day business when working with aeronautical data in general, and in this case, more especially with airport data. So welcome again to this AIM Builder webinar. We hope that you are like this event, and remember that our aim here is AIM. So welcome again. My name is Henry Cáceres. I work for GroupEAD, and where we actually support all partners all over the world in the implementation or in their transformation of a conventional AIS into a truly digital AIM. If this is the first time that you are joining one of our online events, please look for us in YouTube channel or in our webpage, and please subscribe, share, and comment, and please let us know what you feel, what you think about this type of events. Yeah, you can also directly write to us in events@groupead.com or info@groupead.com. Before we start into business, there are some recommendations that we usually do for this type of webinar events. Um, First of all, you will know that the conference is being recorded. So if one of your colleagues or someone wasn't or haven't been able to participate, we're gonna make a link available later so you can see the conference already recorded. Webcam is not available for the participants, only for the presenters and the guests in this occasion. Microphones are muted by default, yeah, but in case you have any question, then just please let us know, and then we're going to enable your question so you can come live and do the question live. Um, as regularly, I mean, if you have any question, there is an interface there in the application that you have in your computer, so in your web browser. Please use the question and answers interface to interact a bit with us. You can also use the chat function if you don't find these questions and answer interface. And if you don't have any question, we are we do have some questions, so we kindly ask you to participate in our polls. We have several polls along the presentation, so just to check if if we are transmitting the message in a correct way. And last but not least, we have a final survey that we will really appreciate if we can have your support by filling this in. So this can and give us some hints on how we can improve, yeah, and bring you some more information, yeah, in future events. With this, I would like to start with the first section of the webinar, and that is the latest news of the AIM world. Oh, but before that, sorry about it. We have an important poll that we need to run before this. So just to check, at the moment we have around 40 participants, and perhaps many more might come in the future. So I will run the first poll, and I would kindly ask for your support on this. So there you have in the screen the following question: what is your current working area within your organization? I will be happy if you could support me by selecting one of the options there. Either you work for AIM operations, airport operations, aeronautical industry, or others. And then you click on submit. Thank you. I see that many responses have been collected so far. I will be closing the poll in some seconds. I will just give you the opportunity to finish this. Then, thank you for this. I will share now the presentation. I will share now the results of the poll, and then this is what we see in the results. Half of the participants are coming from the AIM operations. That is not a surprise because most of the community that we are addressing in this case, it's actually people coming from AIM. But interestingly, we have more than 10% of people coming from airport operations. That is fantastic because the message of today is more related to airport data, yeah. And so it's welcome and it's nice to have you here. And then another 25%, more or less 23%, it's coming from the aeronautical industry. So thank you all for your participation. And as mentioned before, I will just run a video now with the latest news in the AIM world.
Thank you very much, Henry. And now let's take a look at the latest news in the AIM world. GroupEAD extended its contract for the EAD service provision in June 2021, when the contract was signed between GroupEAD and Eurocontrol, sealing their successful partnership. Since 2003, GroupEAD is operating the EAD on behalf of Eurocontrol and is ensuring 24/7 access to real-time data of guaranteed integrity and quality. Together with Frequentis, who will continue to provide the EAD release development as well as IT management to Eurocontrol, GroupEAD will continue their strong and trustful partnership in dedication to the EAD. Airways New Zealand's AIM subsidiary Aeropath is working with MET Service on the development of a pre-flight briefing platform that integrates AIM and MET information. Currently, in order to receive complete pre-flight information, aviators need to visit different websites. Both organizations have been aiming to combine these services into a single pre-flight briefing service for long. Over the past month, they have managed to migrate the MedFlight GA services over to the Aeropath data platform. Pilots as well as flight planners will be able to interact with the integrated data more easily through new user interfaces and on various devices. On top of this, organizations will be able to access this complete data to confer into their systems. The Spanish air navigation service provider ENAIRE has been certified as a flight procedure design provider. Last year in June, ENAIRE submitted the documentation for certifying this FPD service to the National Aviation Safety Agency. With this certification, ENAIRE becomes the first organization in Spain to be certified for providing this service. According to ENAIRE, the FPD is a service to design, document, validate, maintain, and periodically review the flight procedures needed for safe, regular, and efficient air navigation. Additionally, the service includes both the design and the validation on land and in flight. Through the FPD certificate, ENAIRE is now certified by EASA to provide 6 air navigation services. The others are ATS, AIS, CNS, ATFM, and ASM Level 3 provider. On December 3rd, 2021, Edition 3 of the Eurocontrol specification for the Electronic Aeronautical Information publication was published. The latest changes address mainly alignment with the EU framework, amended Commission implementing Regulation EU 2017/373 and the consequential repealing of Commission Regulation EU 73/2010, known as the ADQ-IR. An overview of the main changes is provided in Annex G. This important AIM standard supports a crucial requirement to enable a harmonized visualization of the AIP contents in electronic form, which has to be provided by the national AIS in accordance with the global ICAO SARPs. This development has made progress in conjunction with the Aeronautical Information Regulations Implementation Subgroup and a wide range of stakeholders which have provided valuable input at various consultation stages. ICAO makes the access to Annex 15 much simpler. From now on, Annex 15 is available in ICAO's e-library and can be downloaded in 6 different languages: Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Russian, and Spanish. Eurocontrol recently launched their new AIRM website, the Air Traffic Management Reference Vocabulary. It's an ATM search engine where you can look for terms, abbreviations, and definitions. This website is created by and for the ATM community. The fastest way is to use the AIRM search field, where you simply enter the word you are looking for, like with any other search website. According to the official website, semantic interoperability, the ability to exchange information with unambiguous shared meaning, will be encouraged by using AIRM. And as such, its vocabulary will support interoperability improvements throughout the ATM world. In the third and fourth quarter of 2021, Eurocontrol signed agreement with a set of technical and operational business partners in pursuit of the digitalization and modernization of Eurocontrol's operational infrastructure framed within a strategy towards a more efficient and sustainable European aviation network. The so-called INM program, Integrated Network Manager, will further develop a wide range of digital solutions, which will replace current legacy systems in a robust attempt to wisely create a new generation of state-of-the-art operational systems. This technology will encompass airspace, flight and flow, capacity, and aeronautical information systems, enhanced through big data, machine learning, and cloud capabilities. This digital transformation will enable a more resilient, escapable, and high-performing European ATM network, as well as ensuring the necessary levels of safety and sustainability for this digital era. And GroupEAD will be part of this transformation by playing a relevant role in this venture.
So thank you, Judith, for bringing us this informative section for the latest news in the AIM world. And we continue with our next section, which is actually the AIM lecture. So this time I will have the pleasure to to talk to you a little bit about airport data. Yeah, I won't be too much because we want to really take the opportunity that we have a special guest today, and maybe some of this information is already known by some of you. But I would like to highlight a couple of things. Yeah, and maybe some of you know already. What we call the aeronautical data chain. Yeah, the aeronautical data chain is actually how the data moves or goes or it's sent or exchanged from the originators to the AIS providers and finally to the users. In this occasion, what we can see is that the originators are actually the ones who are originating, of course, the data. They are exchanging this in conventional ways to the AISP provider, where this can be either email or fax, or there are several ways on how the originators, like the airport, for instance, are exchanging the information to the AISP. And in the best of the scenarios, the AISP is actually using a database in order to improve the quality of their conventional products, being this the AIP or the NOTAMs. Yeah. And finally, they provide a copy of these conventional products to the users. Lately, and more specifically in 2018, ICAO provided now the possibility to optionally, or it's recommended to provide the so-called digital data sets. With these digital data sets, we're providing them only the raw material, the users, so the users can use this data in whatever they want. So if you have been following us or have been following this whole history of the transition from AIS to AIM, you might notice that this initiative by ICAO, the transition from AIS to AIM, has actually focused very heavily in the improvement of this section that we see there, the AIS part, yeah, by introducing data quality requirements, the use of digital tools, etc. But we're missing an important part in this case, and this is what we are bringing you Remember that in order to have in the end a data with enough quality, this must be originated also in the same way. So there are also some later initiatives that are bringing similar concepts of digitalization also to the originators, because it makes no sense that you only have digitalized the middle part in all these data chain. So what would happen here, what we will see in the near future, is that the originators will also be digitalizing themselves. And this makes total sense, as mentioned before. And perhaps this conventional way of exchanging the data from the originators to the AISP will be now also be digitalized and provided, and in order to have a fully aeronautical data chain. So when we are talking about airport data, where can we find these airport data? Usually, all this information we find it in the AD2 and the AD airdrome section of the AIP. And we also find some additional information on what is the type of data that we need to collect in the so-called data catalog by ICAO found in the document PANS AIM. There we can find out what are the different entities and attributes that we need to collect in a specific database. In addition, the airports should also provide obstacle data and should also provide terrain data. So these are the three type of data that an airport must always consider in providing the airport data, the AIP data, the obstacle data, and also the terrain data. And this is all in accordance to ICAO regulations. For those of you who are in Europe, you might know that in Europe we have specific regulations. And I know that we have here people from different parts of the world, and maybe you are not really interested in EU regulations and what they impose to the European countries. But honestly, if we can suggest you something, then please have a look at this, because these have been developed based on some previous regulations that we had in the past, which have actually improved a lot. Yeah, this is the so-called ADQ regulation, known as 73 2010, which was released or was published in 2010. And since then, a whole, let's say, movement of improvement of the aeronautical information in Europe has been done. And this same model has been already replicated or copied by many other regions in the world. So what's happening right now in Europe is that ADQ regulation, the 73, has been repealed lately this year. And now what we have in place is regulation 139 from 2014 as amended by a current regulation. But this is the regulation 139, which is specifically for airdrome operators, including, among others, requirements for aeronautical data provision, aeronautical data quality management, and common reference systems. So what we are seeing here is that in the European region is not enough with the ICAO regulation. We actually need to go a little bit further, and this involves the implementation of more regulations on top. So there is also another famous regulation right now, which is the 373, which is addressing more the AISP, the ANSP, but we are more familiar with this. But what's important is that now in regulation 139, we can find the specific requirements for airdrome operators. But that's not the end of the story. There is a new regulation, the 116, also known as CP1 or Common Project 1, which is bringing interesting challenges for the, especially for the airport operators in Europe, because with this new regulation, we're implementing, or the European Commission is enforcing several services, yeah, including one for system-wide information management, which actually will require the implementation of the three fantastic services, which are aeronautical information feature services, Aerodrome mapping services, and digital NOTAM services. And this is, of course, going into this digitalization world. And initially, this common project one is addressing, or it's impacting some airports in Europe. Yeah, you can see there 18 airports, making this like a proof of concept that all these type of services might be provided. So very soon, if this is successful by the end of 2025, then you might see more airports also implementing this in Europe, and why not in the rest of the world. There has been already an interesting project a couple of years ago in Europe, which was called the Airport Data Toolkit, which actually makes a connection between the data originator, the aerodrome operator, which is able to type in or even create a pre-NOTAM or a NOTAM proposal, or whatever you want to call it, using GIS tools with an integrated tool called Workflow Management Tool, and then send this in AIXM5 format already to the AISPs. So if you're working in an AISP, how fantastic this could be that you are receiving already from your originator, from the airports in this case, the data already quality assured and in digital format. Yeah. So graphical tools might be available, of course, because we are going into this digitalization. So with this, I would like to go for the next poll, and just to see if you've been if the message has been understood. So there we have the first poll of this time, which is where can we find the quality requirements for airport data? Yeah, please don't be mixed up. Um, we have three options: Annex 15, Data Catalog, or Document 8126. Maybe it's pretty obvious, but it's important to realize where we find the data quality requirements for airport data. Yeah, obviously we have more data quality requirements for airspaces, for routes, and for obstacles. But what about for airport data? I would like to know where you can find this. So I will close now the poll, and then I will share the results. And exactly, it is correct. The majority of you are suggesting that we find this in the data catalog, which is actually the correct answer. I will run now the next poll. So we also have the opportunity to check another question. And that is, what are these new challenges that we are going to have in Europe in regards to airport data? You can, this is multiple selection, so you can select then, you can select all those that you believe which are going to be these new challenges. Maybe I went very quick through this part, but I can tell you, it's about digital services. Yeah, it's about providing the provision of data by the end of 2025. Some 18 airports in Europe will be requested to provide some of these services. So I see the progress of the poll in very good. So I will just give a few seconds. I see some others already answering. Thank you very much. Then I will close now, and I will share what are the results. And effectively, the correct answer is the first three of them. The Aeronautical Information Feature Service, Aerodrome Mapping Service, and Digital NOTAM Service. So for all those 18 airports that we mentioned before, for all those 18, by these Regulation 116, they will be required to provide these type of services. Note that we're talking about Aeronautical Information Feature Service, Aerodrome Mapping Service, and also Digital NOTAM. Also, remember that some years ago with this Airport Data Toolkit, the Digital NOTAM was also tested in this same context. So with this, I would like to show you, to go to the next section, which is actually how the aerodrome operator ADV has solved this situation in order to exchange electronic data to the AIS. I will run the video, and then I'll see you in some more minutes.
Airports are in a state of constant motion. Many millions of passengers start their journey here. Shopping malls are a fascinating experience, and countless tons of goods of all kinds are sold there. It goes without saying that the infrastructure has to be constantly adapted to this. German commercial airports regularly improve their operations, update technical aviation systems, and reflect new airline requirements. Any change to airside infrastructure which impacts upon flight operations has to be published in the Aeronautical Information publication. For this process, the experts from the German Commercial Airports and ADV, the German Airports Association, commissioned Frequentis AG in Vienna to develop particularly cost-efficient software for implementing the requirements of an EU regulation on aeronautical data quality, ADQ. The ADV is using ADQ to make air traffic more digital and to provide airports with a tool with which we can enhance our processes and security. The central procurement of the necessary software has enabled our airports to minimize costs in the implementation of this highly complex EU regulation. Real added value for us. The ADQ software records the documentation and release process required for each change. In order to simplify communication, the transfer of documents between airports, aviation authorities, and Deutsche Flugsicherung GmbH (DFS) has been digitalized. The purpose of the data exchange is to document and publish every change in the Aeronautical Information publication in compliance with regulations. So, how does the software work? Changes affecting publication are digitally transmitted to the appropriate aviation authority in a special file format for review and approval and forwarded to DFS for publication. Clear process management enables all parties involved in an airport company to process the event in a structured way. The status and open steps are displayed in a clear tree structure. German commercial airports and DFS, German Air Traffic Control, have enjoyed an excellent working relationship for decades. We have currently been collaborating on the implementation of the European ADQ regulation to raise aeronautical data quality. This does away with the conventional practice of sending documents from the airport to air traffic control, as well as manual data checking. As a result, we have made significant progress towards improving cooperation between airports and air traffic control, but also towards implementing the single European sky. Any changes made can be clearly traced with the differencing tools in the ADQ software. The software significantly reduces the test load. The improved clarity makes the overall process more efficient. The ADQ software provides airports with a powerful tool for processing aeronautical data. Teams of experts from airports work together in a highly professional process to move ADQ software development forward. The result will benefit all German commercial airports and has already proven itself in practice. Frankfurt and Stuttgart airports got on board in late 2016 and have been using ADQ ever since. In the future, all German commercial airports and almost 30 other airports will benefit from this new software, also meeting the requirements for ESA airport certification. But that's not the only reason to be happy. German commercial airports are raising the bar in Europe with the introduction of ADQ. The ADV members are thereby improving safety in European airspace and supporting efforts towards a harmonized single European sky. German airports are taking another major step towards digitalization and a harmonized European airspace. At the same time, we are strengthening good cooperation with the federal and state authorities built on trust. German commercial airports are setting a really good example with this innovative solution, developed by the team, by the way, and that also underpins Germany as a business location.
So thank you, ADV, and also Frequentis for sponsoring this webinar today. As you can see, the content of this video perfectly matches the subject of today, which is aeronautical data management. And you might have seen how the German airports are now being connected directly to the AIS provider, which is in this case DFS, electronically by this tool that they were promoting in this video. With this, I would like to go to the next section, which is the AIM talk. And we have the honor, fantastic honor, to have here today a very good friend, which is Manuel Guntschnig. He's the business development airport from Frequentis, who is actually, I think, in a deserved vacation somewhere in the Caribbean island or something like that. Am I right?
Good afternoon, Henry. No, I'm actually on the Ligurian coast in Italy, so on the border to France. Okay. So I'm wearing a T-shirt today because it's my vacation.
Thank you very much for leaving the pool and the margarita aside a little bit, and for attending our call. We really appreciate this. I will just make a quick introduction of who you are, but I wanted to, maybe some people are already disappointed because they were expecting to have this manual, like the one that we see in the picture with this fantastic hair. Who is your hairstyler or designer? I mean, I really need to go to this.
I mean, I do this by myself. So I of course I have to cut the hair down ever and again, but still it's like, yeah, I'm really doing it by myself.
Okay, all right. I hope that the participants are not disappointed, and if you are, please let us know in the chat. Yeah, we're gonna let's give Manuel some feedback. Either he looks handsome or not. Yeah. So handsome, Mr. Manuel Handsome, thank you very much. I just wanted to introduce who you are. You are the business development airports in Frequentis, but you are an IT engineer with a lot of experience, vast experience working in large scale data management for more than 20 years. He has worked in several companies, lately in Frequentis, but big companies like Robert Bosch and Danetz, especially in Austria and in Germany, I believe. Yeah. And lately, for the last 13 years already, you've been Manuel has been working directly with aeronautical data management systems. I know that you've been involved in many projects like ADV, the one that we saw in the video before, but also has worked for EAD and many others. So we're really happy to have you here today, Manuel, because I believe that you have enough experience on this that we're going to talk today, and all the questions that we have in regards to airport data management. So please receive from us a big welcome, and thank you very much for participating with us.
Thank you.
Good. And then without further delay, we're going to go directly to talk to you and to have some questions about airport data management. So I would really like to start with what do you think, Emmanuel, it's the biggest challenge that we have right now in aeronautical data management in the airport? Because many of the participants here are coming from AIS, but now we want to focus our attention to the airport. So what do you think it's the biggest challenge that they have?
Yeah, so really I've also been working on the AIS side of things, so I know how to deal with core databases in AIM, and actually we're all kind of trying to bring the technology that we have and that is established in AIM organizations of ANSPs also to airports. But still there are some challenges I really see, and one of them is, or the major ones are like manual changes. So people are interacting manually with the data, and a kind of copy and paste mentality. You know, and that introduces, of course, a lot of errors, and we really see that very often. And of course, it also compromises safety. But the introduction of errors, that's the main challenge that we have here. And just to give you a couple of examples, like we know people are saying, how do you kind of indicate that there's a work area on the airport? And they say, well, pick up the phone and I call them and I give them the info, which is okay, but it's someone has to type it down, and or like we heard that in a conference where someone asked, how are you issuing your note on proposals, and someone said, well, WhatsApp. And you know, I mean, yes, it works, but that's a big challenge, and we have to tackle that.
It's interesting. Sorry, it's interesting to realize that there have been many efforts by ICAO and by many regions in the world in the digitalization of AIM, which is the middle part of the whole data chain, yeah. And but we haven't really focused on this important part, which is the origination part, yeah, which also needs to be digitalized. And how do you think that we could improve this? Because they still continue texting or calling or something, but that is not really digital data. How can we? What are the options that we have to improve this?
Yeah, I mean, so we have to separate maybe a little bit between, you know, airports as well as the general public, because like also the general public is have to provide like obstacle data and stuff like that. But this has to become user friendly, and the airports are a prominent part of that, and so it's maybe a good idea to start with them as well. So there's one thing is about reducing the data silos, because this is a huge problem that all the airports have. We see this very often. Like again, an example, I saw like two airport duty managers were working an Excel sheet from the one was working from top to bottom, and the other one was working from bottom to top. And when they met, they were just copying the data to another system. And this is where we can improve a lot. You mentioned SWIM in your presentation. You mentioned information services. That's all what really can be improved on and what really can be worked on, as well as what I think is a big option when you are kind of a group, or when you can benefit from multiple kind of organizations, like a group of airports or a group of departments and something like that. Consolidating things together make it a lot easier. We saw this in Germany. That was a big step forward. I think they were so they kind of use one interface, one kind of data store and everything, and they don't have to share or they share the costs, of course, for it, but only like the small airports can do it, the big airports can do it, and they all can use the same system, which is a huge benefit, I guess. Yeah, so this is something where everyone can improve on, right?
Excellent. Yeah, and it's interesting to see that they are having like the same problems that we in AIS, AIM are somehow solving, but they also need to go into this. So now the question is, what do you think what do you think is the role of the AIS in regards to their originators? Because AIS, it's like I've been working in AIS and I continue working in a company which is AIS or AIM oriented, and we are like no, Annex 15, it's my annex, and then I need to receive the data. So how can we in AIS support, or what should be our role in these data exchange with the originators?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and this is also it also relates to airports. We were all thinking, and this takes a long time, I guess. We were thinking in products and not in data. It's to get an understanding of you are a provider of data, and the users, they will do whatever they want with the data, which is, it's like a very special case is people are not really, I mean, of course, everyone is interested in the AIP, but the AIP is a document which you have to process, which you have to use, and you have to, again, recode it or copy paste and so on and so forth. Switching to a well-structured kind of data store and using that data right away. That's where we really have to focus on, and where also the airports can work on. And by that I mean using GIS systems and all that stuff, because it brings the data into a form where it becomes information, and you don't have to sift through all the documents and pages. You get your information immediately, and that's really what also I think is something where people kind of have to understand, that they have to switch their mindsets from products to services, to just providing the data in the right way.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for these. I also mm, I want to highlight a bit from the video before. We saw that there is this organization in Germany. There might be some others in many other parts of the world who have actually organized themselves in order to kind of create an application or a special unit. I know that it's called in different ways. Some people call it data collection service, or some other data processing for airports or something like that. I believe you have the experience to work with that, and it's interesting to me because we all know that AIS is the single source for official source for publishing the information. But now I see this tendency that airport operators are organizing themselves, especially those airport operators which are in charge of several airports, and they are organizing themselves in order to have special units to compile and to collect all the different data and to make a digital connection with the AISP. That is really assuring the data exchange and the information exchange. But what do you think about these? What can you tell us about these data collection service units? Are they competitors of AIS, or what are they for, or what's your experience?
Well, the ALP will remain to be the official source, so there's no question about that. And there, I do not see any competitive situation there. The difference is the AISP and the AIM service provider at the very end will shift their, or are shifting actually their role from kind of doing all the validation by themselves into an organization that is kind of validating and verifying the data and managing the data, as well as on the other hand, the airports have to do the same. If I look at, you know, be it Spain, be it the UK, be it France, be it, lots of airports are delivering their data, and consider everyone is kind of sending a PDF file or an Excel sheet or a Word document. There's many people kind of involved in it, and they all have to kind of work on the data and rectify it and process it. And this can be easily solved. That this is easily solved if you apply a kind of a, yeah, more or less central system, be it with a group of airports, be it a cloud service, be it whatever. This can also be done like by smaller groups of airports, larger airports, national data collection services. You can combine that, and the airports actually are benefiting because they share the costs effectively. So I don't see any competition there. It's just getting the same data quality understanding throughout the data chain. And actually it starts with the surveyor, right? So surveyor, airport, organization, whatever, civil aviation authority, AISP, and ultimately the airmen, pilots, or whoever uses that data.
Exactly. I mean, that's the whole idea of this digitalization, many efforts in the AIS part, but now we really need to also cover the other parts. And it makes sense to the aerodrome operators that, especially those who are in charge of many airports, that they want to organize and control themselves all the data that they are providing to the aeronautical information, and by implementing digital applications or tools, so they are also assuring the quality of the data.
I
So
mean, there's one thing I think on that. Like you can when you consider like one state, you have the same regulations on a national level, and then it's kind of easy to set up one interface, one validation process. You only have to do this once, right? And that's a good thing, I think. And this is where you can share kind of efforts and share costs all over the place. If you consider like an airport group, I know some of the airport groups, they are working in different kind of jurisdictions. There it's a bit more complex because you have to take each and every national law, which deviates a little bit or all over the place. But still, it's still like when you communicate, like, or you have like a couple of airports who use the same interfaces, the same systems, that makes it much more easier, I would say.
much more easy, more efficient because they are sharing costs, as you were mentioning. I just want to remind you, the participants, that they have the possibility to write some questions either in the questions and answer module or in the chat, yeah, because we're going to also give the opportunity, or if someone would like to come live and make a question, that would also be fantastic. So I will give some opportunity, some minutes for you to ask some questions. So you were mentioning, Manuel, something about different laws, local laws, and we know that in Europe it's very well regulated, right? And now we have in place a couple of laws, or even more, which are actually addressing partially the exchange of aeronautical data, um, being these 373 for AISPs and 139 for aerodrome operators. What is your opinion about this? Do you think it's okay or do you think with ICAO would be enough? What do you think?
Well, I think I mean, when you look at the ICAO kind of annexes, you see a very broad kind of let's say phraseology, because it has to fit the whole planet and everyone. So having a specific level a little lower, like EASA is doing, or Europe is doing, that's a very good idea, I think, because it details out the things that you have to do or you have to comply with. And like boiling it down to national level, bringing it to national law is the way it goes. What we see actually is that effectively the end products, or the systems that do the job at the end of the day, they do not deviate too much. They work in Slovenia as well as they work in Germany. The workflow steps, if you consider this business process as a step of or as a chain of steps in a workflow, you might have to introduce a couple of different steps in different jurisdictions, but that's more or less to it. And some countries have maybe kind of a different view on everything and work a little bit different, but ultimately it's kind of the problems that are solved once, they don't exist anymore, and you can apply them to each and every country, I would say, or every organization.
Excellent, yes. So now I would like to come with a couple of questions that we have. I will read them, and then you can give your opinion. First of all, from Dejan, and then from Lamin. The first question is, the reality of today's airport GIS information is that for the most part, the authoritative source for digital NOTAM is more commonly Jeppesen, Lido, and NavBlue, who make changes to their airdrome mapping databases products, which are published to their customers, airlines. When can we allow the actual airports to own the authoritative source for their own airports, not third-party companies? Is that the goal of Regulation 116? What do you think about it? It's a long question, but it's really deep and interesting. Yeah.
Well, well, I have a view on that, but it's a personal view. So it might not apply everywhere. But we see, of course, like Lufthansa Systems, Jeppesen, and other companies kind of. I mean, they would really love to use the data that is available, but they see that the data isn't sufficient, isn't working, has problems, and so on. So they are kind of employing lots of people to kind of rectify the data and merge data sources and do everything. So what this has two consequences, I would say. One is if I am a very small organization and I don't want to spend the money to kind of employ surveyors and so on, and I have the option that I contract, for example, Jeppesen or Lufthansa Systems or whoever, to provide me with such services, that can be something where you don't have to invest something locally on your airport. On the other hand, I mean, Jeppesen or Lufthansa Systems, they are using their aircraft, you know, Boeing or Lufthansa with their aircraft, and they make videos and pictures. So they have a good understanding, but actually the airports are or should be the owner of their data, and they could, if you have, and I know there are a lot of airports out there who have already kind of surveyed everything, including the light systems, the light bulbs, everything. And this data quality is much higher than you, or at least currently it's much higher than you will get from an overflight.
Yep.
So this is something where I see airports and services coming up with data from airports in the future. And what I also wanted to say is the airports, they can use their data within their own organization. So looking at the whole GIS systems available for, you can use it for your safety management system, for your compliance management system, you can use it for your construction management system, you can use it everywhere, even for explosive removal, or I mean, there's tons of use cases where you can use your own data, much more efficient than you are doing right now. So going into this direction, I think is a no-brainer when it comes to reducing costs and increasing operational efficiency effectively.
Totally agree. I believe that these commercial companies, they are going to have their own products and purposes, but we can also internally use the data. And right after it goes officially by AIS, then other data integrators, they are going to use it for different purposes, which is mainly for data packages for FMCs. So very quick with two more questions that we have, because we're running out of time. Lamine is saying, how about metadata? Yeah, I understand that if metadata can also be included as part of these data packages.
Yes, yes.
Quite
there was, you know, when you look at EU Regulation 73 2010, we had tons of metadata. When we look at larger airports, we had gigabytes of metadata with each and every time slice and everything. But this is something you kind of need to get into your system, and which you can easily automate. It's not something that you have to worry about too much. It's just that the systems have to process it. And when we say metadata here, we actually mean, or I in my context mean metadata like what is the quality, what is the accuracy, and so on and so forth. When you talk to a surveyor, they also think about metadata, everything apart from the geometry. So everything apart from the surface or line or whatever. I mean, that kind of metadata can be the runway name, you know, like everything. And this is also something you have to manage well structured, of course, including, for example, the local flight restrictions, which is can also be considered metadata, but from an AIP's point of view, I wouldn't say that it's metadata actually.
We're running really out of time. But I wouldn't like to miss the opportunity to bring the question from Shreyas. It says, "Hi Manuel, as you stated rightly, that developing region-specific regulation is more efficient in implementation. In many countries, the acceptance to such ideas is not there, which can be considered as human behavioral challenges or the willingness. How do you think this can be tackled? The human part is always difficult."
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate that question. I have two kids, and they're 20 years old or even a little bit older now. They tend to think about things completely different than I do, and it's the generations are changing and the mindsets are changing. When people were coming into this industry, maybe in the 70s or 80s in the last millennium, they had a different feeling or a different way of working and how they considered things to be fit for purpose. These kinds of things are changing, and when I think that I have, I have a mobile phone and I work with it, the future generations, and by that I mean the 20-year-olds, they simply want to use all those kinds of things,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's their natural way of working. So we all, like you and me, we're in our 40s already, so
Yeah,
we have to adapt to those things,
definitely.
and this is also the mindsets that need to change with the people. And I guess the biggest challenge of all of that is that people understand the difference between an Excel sheet or a Word file or a PDF and an aeronautical data chain. That's a different concept, but
Yeah,
but
definitely.
this is where kind of also the managers have to step in and ensure that this understanding is put in place, and that's, yeah, I mean, it's still a long way, I would
It's a
say.
hard work, I believe, and it must come directly from the top management. Otherwise,
Exactly.
this wouldn't
Yes,
work. Yeah.
yes.
Thank you very much, Manuel. We really appreciate your time. It's been fantastic to have you here. I would just quickly give here your coordinates so the people might like to get in touch with you. You can get him on the phone, or right now, even he might be a little bit busier because he's somewhere there enjoying his vacations. But please drop him an email in case you have any other question in regards to these and any other thing in regards to aeronautical data management, because as you know, he has a lot of experience, especially from the IT and also from the business development point of view. So Manuel, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. I hope that this is not the last time, and then see you soon.
Thank you very much, Henry. It was good to talk to you, and yeah, have a good day, everyone. Goodbye.
Good. So uh, I just would like to finish with the last section of the day, very quick. I know that we are almost running out of time, but it's in regards to what we've been discussing. Yeah, we have set this background that there is this aeronautical data chain where we have several actors, being these the surveyors, the airports, providing the information to the ASP, and finally to the users or airmen pilots. So on top of this, many times we have also more actors like the competent authorities, yeah, civil aviation authorities, etc., that they also want to participate in this data chain, and they want to perform all these different activities, right? It's not only about exchanging the data, but it comes from the very beginning of surveying the points, then verification and validation, then the production of the products as we know them in AISP, like AIP and charting, and then the provision to airmen and pilots. And the competent authority might also like to verify, validate, and approve. The question is, how are we doing this? If we're really talking about a data chain, we must do all these processes in an electronic way. Yeah, how do we do this? It must be electronic, otherwise we are doing nothing. I mean, it's like we are digitalizing only part of this, but the rest it's still using conventional means of exchange, right? In the end, the AISP, the AIS provider can provide their typical products or even provide digital data sets as recently requested by ICAO. So that is what we want. We want to have a structure, fully electronic and comprehensible quality ensured data from the surveyor directly to the cockpit. And this is actually the dream in AIM, yeah, and all the transition from AIS to AIM. Very quickly, I will just show you and I will introduce you. Maybe you haven't heard of this, but one of the solutions in order to manage all this data in really an electronic way, it's actually called workflow management tool. And it's a workflow that you may have seen, which it's administrating and controlling step by step all the different input forms and all the different actors and processes that need to be controlled in a specific process. I'm just bringing you here an example on how it works. The thing is that for every of these steps, a tool will control this. I mean, it's not like I'm just calling him. No, it's when we follow a process which is controlled and traced in a specific application, and in this way we can really fulfill and meet these requirements, which are called the workflow, which are called the electronic exchange. There are several workflow management tools in the market which allow you to go into these processes and even integrate third-party applications, so you can also enhance your products. But what this will give you, it's the possibility to have different input forms and different third parties applications integrated in your workflow and controlling all the processes and activities in a very electronic way. So with this is our AIM tip of the day. Look for these. This is a solution in order to digitalize the whole data chain from the originators through the ASP and finally to the end user. With this, we're only missing the last poll of the day, which I will run very quickly. I hope that we still have some people in the audience who might be willing to participate. Give me a second. I will be running. So here we go. What tool is recommended in order to assure the electronic exchange of data? Is this the workflow management tool, workflow diagrams, or BPMN? So I would really appreciate your support by quickly selecting one of the options there. We were introducing in a slide before what is this tool that we are proposing here. So I see enough responses already collected. Then I will just close the poll and then I will share the results. So thank you for these. Yeah, obviously the majority of us are agree that the workflow management tool, there, as mentioned before, there are many in the markets that you can use for really filling all the different gaps and making these electronic exchange between all the different parties really a reality. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We would really appreciate if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, that you share and comment all these discussions that we had today, or if you can even write us to events@GroupEAD or info@groupead.com. I really would like to finish this with thanking Manuel for his participation, also ADV and Frequentis for sponsoring the webinar of today. And I'd really like to invite you to our next and future webinars, and we're doing this like one every 3 or 4 months. So please stay tuned, because we'll be back with a new subject of discussion. So thank you all, and remember that in AIM Builder webinar, our aim is AIM. Thank you.